Hello and welcome back to the on the F1 Journal, and today we are looking at Monaco Grand Prix, one of the most iconic races in the world, 1/3 of motorsport's Triple Crown, nearly 80 runnings of the events, and today we're going to look back at some of the most iconic races. So let's get straight into it with number 5, Monaco 1982. This was, as it seemed, the race nobody wanted to win. Even eventual victor Riccardo Patrese had a dang go at avoiding the top step. First, Renault led the race from pole. But then on lap 15, he sent his car into the barriers at swimming pool. Teammate Alan Prost took the lead and appeared to have the whole thing wrapped up as he held on to position of the 74 for the 76 laps, but was then pushed too hard and sent his Renault into the barriers in the chicane. Now Patrese led on his way to potentially his first F1 victory in his Ford-powered Brabham, but on a penultimate lap, he hit some oil at the Lowe's hairpin, spun and stalled. The lead then passed to Didier Pironi. He promptly ran out of fuel. Andrea Cesaris then became the likely winner, but he ran short of gas before he could even pass Pironi's stricken car. The left Derek Daly's Williams de facto leader Q Daly's gearbox, then seizing before he could start the last lap. It was at this point 1976 champion James Hunt awaiting a winner in the commentary box. And we've got this ridiculous situation where we're all sitting at the start finish line waiting for a winner to come past, and we don't seem to be getting one. Finally, after an unending wait, there was a winner, and of all figures across the line, it was Patrese, who had managed to bump his starter's car by rolling down the hill from the Lowe's and nurse it to the end. The race was so bonkers that Pironi and De Cesaris were still classified in second and third respectively, despite not reaching the end. Number 4, the 1961 Monaco Grand Prix. Moving from the bonkers finishes to heroic performances, the 61 Grand Prix is one of Stirling Moss's finest drives. He was by now at the stage of his career where he saw outdrives in British cars first and foremost, so he lined up for the 61 race in a Lotus 18 run by the independent Rob Walker racing outfit. The Lotus was under power and apparently completely outmatched by the Marty Shark-nosed Ferrari 156S around it. Moss duly stuck on Lotus pole. The Ferrari of Richie Ginter, then powered by the firm's brand new 112-degree V12 engine, while his teammates raced with the old engine, shot into the lead from the front row, and he was 5 seconds clear by the end of lap 3, but he recovered, regained his speed and set about whistling down the lead. It was 1.5 seconds by lap 8, and by the 10th circuit he was right on Ginter's tail. He then made a move on lap 14 and taking Brogniar's Porsche with him, he produced a 6-second lead over Bonnier, but behind him the trio of Scarlet Machines were ganging up as a pack, hustling on each other and working together. Him and his teammate Phil Hill and Wolfgang van Tretz hunted down Bonnier until the three were hustling him like their sharks' noses resembled. Eventually, around the 40th lap, they were stuck about Moss's lead, which was about 10 seconds, and in preceding 20 laps, such was the domination of Hillingans that even von Tretz was eventually dropped by the lead chase. By lap 58, Moss was having to maintain as pushing as hard as he can to keep his Lotus in the lead. The game of cat and mouse continued, and the intensity ramped up after lap until Gunter decided to basically muscle his teammate aside so he could try and hunt down Moss once and for all with the power of that new engine. But Moss won by 3.5 seconds, having powered his car probably down quite significantly down on power for 100 laps, and just an incredible drive. In number 3 is the 1996 Monaco Grand Prix, another absolute chaotic race, another race where drivers seemingly didn't fancy the top step, another race where an unlikely driver claimed first victory. This time though, it was his only victory. The race that was meant for Michael Schumacher, it was a wet start and he qualified his lackluster Ferrari on pole with a brilliant lap, but then crashed on that one, so it was meant to Damon Hill's race. This time to win the race his father became synonymous with. Indeed, he was 40 seconds clear by the start of the 40th tier of the scheduled 78, but his engine went bang in spectacular fashion, and suddenly John Lacey was in control. But Lacey's suspension failed, so surely now Jacques Villeneuve's won. But no, he wasn't leading and was having a quiet race. But by chance it was a Ligier of Frenchman Olivier Panis who led as Villeneuve would hunt him down. But Luca de Bedard, 6 laps down in his 40, hit Villeneuve at Mirabeau. They were both out, and Panis would lead until the 2-hour limit elapsed, with future double Monaco winner David Coulthard just a few seconds back. It was his first victory and remained his only one. Behind him, only one other car finished, making the podium also representative of the entire finish. Irvine, Salo, Hackman took each other out in a crash just before the end, and Harold Frentzen decided to pull into the pits as he was running a lap down anyway for a chaotic race. In number 2 is the 2019 Monaco Grand Prix. And yeah, Monaco racing these days is tough, but this was incredibly tense. The last two battles on the list represent what kind of a fight. In Monaco, though, that year, we were presented with what should have been a straightforward third victory for Lewis Hamilton. He qualified on pole after 11 laps, was leading when the right rear tyre of Charles Leclerc's Ferrari came undone and covered the circuit with debris. Out came the safety car, in came the top four drivers, Hamilton, Bottas, Verstappen, Vettel, and with the option of a hard tyre to go to the end, all made their decision, but for some inexplicable reason, Hamilton's opted to put the median on instead, and he registered concern at the lack of durability. Behind him, they were now coming for him. Verstappen, now in second, was put onto medians first, which resulted into a 5-second penalty for Verstappen and an extra pit stop, and switched to harder tyres for Bottas. That led Hamilton alone out front on tyres. He may well not last to the end, and Verstappen behind him was keen to pass him, knowing he had to make up the 5 seconds. Cue a nail-biting 63 laps. Verstappen constantly able to close on Hamilton, his tyres gradually shredding grip lap after lap. But deploying the engine where he could and getting the maximum power, he just about held on. Verstappen had a few goes and down at the chicane as well, but Mercedes just about held on. And moving on to number one, the 1992 Monaco Grand Prix. For a man so famously fearless and willing to push his car as hard as he could at all times, it's amazing that Nigel Mansell never won a Monaco Grand Prix. He came close on numerous occasions, leading in 1984, for example, before pitching his Lotus into barriers. But it was 1992 when he came closer than ever to taking a victory in the Principality. He stuck his mighty Williams on pole by a second from teammate Patrese, and Ayrton Senna was a further half second back in third and jumped Patrese at the start, but at the front Mansell was gone, the British hero leading 70 of the day, 78 completely unhindered laps, but then he felt something odd in his tyres. Mansell screamed back out of the pits full of speed and fury, but was now in second place behind Senna's McLaren. Such was the speed of the closing, and that Mansell was a second lap faster and caught up to the Brazilian's gearbox with 3 laps to go. The duel then followed, went down in legend. The blue and yellow Williams lit behind Senna's suddenly wide McLaren, but for every jink Mansell made, Senna had a counter, and Senna would claim his record equaling 5th Monaco victory, leaving Mansell empty-handed. And yeah, so close for Mansell, but brilliant defence from Senna. But anyway, guys, that's it for the video. Thanks very much for watching. Remember to like, share, subscribe, notice, comments on my phone, share every daily F1 news, and subscribe to the channel. It's going to be greatly appreciated. Thanks very much for watching. Peace out.